I guess it'd be smart, wise to start with a quick description of what Shudder is, because we are going to be focusing primarily on the original content of Shudder. And while I have this problem where I kind of think, or I just assume that most people know all the same stuff I know, like that it's common knowledge. I don't know if that is so for Shudder, because if you're not a horror fan, you might not know. You might be a horror fan and not know about Shudder.
Which then again, if you are a horror fan and don't know about Shudder, you're definitely missing out because it's all horror, nothing else,
It
just horror.
is a lot of great content too, and there's always new stuff being added. And then there's the exclusives and the originals, and some of the stuff exclusives is like stuff that's just being released through them, and some of it's stuff that I think they produce, or it's produced exclusively or for Shudder. I don't know how they actually determine the difference, but I'm just going to call them all Shudder originals because I like the title original content at the Matinee of Madness. I like
Yes.
the way it sounds. So it's pretty good.
Kristen, again, how did you hear about Shudder at first?
I Wow, that is a good question. I'm not sure. I just kind of always knew about it. I must have seen it.
Or did you just see how Joe Bob Briggs was advertised to be on Shudder?
No, no, I found that out later. I think I just always knew about Shudder, probably through social media, seeing it advertised somewhere, or maybe Twitter back in the day. Because Shudder's been around for a while. I think 2015. It was in beta, like launched in beta, but it has been around for some time now.
Because, I mean, I only knew of Shudder because of you. So,
Yeah, so that's like I'm saying. I don't think maybe not everybody knows about it. And if you don't, now you do, and you should look into
oh,
it.
and Shudder is very affordable.
Yeah, it's a really, I think it's like $80 for the year.
I don't know. I accidentally paid for a year, so.
You did accidentally pay for a year because you thought they were giving you what was it? It was a month trial.
Well, first I started with my week trial.
Yes, they give you a 7-day free trial, and Shudder's not. We don't know Shudder or anything.
No,
No
this
one's
is not an
paying us.
advertisement
This
for
is
Shudder.
just making. I don't want to say a bad situation because I think we would have had Shudder at some point anyway. But this was a mistake. You did your 7-day trial. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go on. Tell your story. Paint a picture.
Yeah, that I got my 7-day trial so that he could watch Joe Bob. And then, when I went to go unsubscribe, you know how any place when you go to unsubscribe, they always offer you something, which a
Yeah,
lot
right.
of ones do offer me like a month for free. I missed the part where it said a month for free with your subscription. So, well, here I am with Shudder for a year.
So, and again, we would have had Shudder again. We've had it before. It's just
Yeah, I mean, it works out for us.
yeah. We were gonna get it. We
I
got
just might not have gotten it right before Christmas.
Yeah, I think that would have been so. But we have it, and we're gonna watch all their original content because there's a lot of it. There's a good amount, and there's shows too. But we're gonna focus on the movies first, and I guess the English language movies first
First, yes.
because you're not ready to do subtitles yet. Like I said, the first Shudder movie I think is French. It looks like it's probably pretty good. They all came out around the same time too. The first handful of them, and The Witch in the Window is the first American one. That was 2018. So we're going to talk about that because we watched that, and it's oh yeah, this is the you need to make the warning sound or something
Like,
here.
warning! There might be spoilers
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, there's probably definitely going to be spoilers
Yeah.
because we're going to just go over the movie and the plot. And what happened and the characters and what
And
we
some
think.
of the movies is going to be if they actually had a plot or what the plot was supposed to be.
Yeah, well, this has a loose plot. This movie definitely has a loose plot. And we said, like, if you're looking at you remember going through the video stores and you look at the back of it because you look at the cover first, which is always the first thing you want to do. Which this would not have grabbed me.
No.
This cover, it's like her face. It's like the witch's face pressed up in the window.
Which it really just looks like an old lady's face pressed in the window.
It's a very generic cover. And if you were to read the back of the box, I'm guessing it would say like a father and son are working on a house in Vermont when they discover its horrible secrets.
We'll probably say estranged father.
Yes, estranged father, because we get that. They do drop you right into it. I like that. They're not wasting time. It's 77 minutes. It's not a long movie. It does feel long at times. I think it gets a little sluggish.
Yeah, it's a little drawn out at times.
There's definitely padding to make that 77 minutes, which they should have done in the beginning. Actually, like when I think about it, because they pad at the end. I'm getting ahead of everything, so maybe I can go back to it. But they do some padding at the end to fill out time, and they could have done that in the beginning, because the movie just opens like in the middle of a conversation, which I do appreciate somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. I mean, I would have liked more character, I guess, development, or at least know more about the characters in the beginning, other than that, it was a strange dad and a crazy mom.
Well, one thing they never do is really explain why the dad isn't there. Just that he runs away, like runs off, but it always seems like he's...
Well, I mean, at one point he does say to the kid, because you're so perfect and I'm afraid of breaking you.
Yeah, but it sounds like
Bullshit.
he's in and out of the kid's life. That's why in the beginning, when they're having this conversation, and we get that the mother is crazy because she's so worried about everything. The world's going to end, and the president, which again was such a weird thing to drop in there, like with this president we have now.
Very political, just to toss in there out of nowhere.
That's it. There's nothing else in this movie that is political, or there's no like political agenda outside of the mother just panicking about the president.
Which I was really confused how this lady is so panicky about the world, yet lives in New York. It seemed like New York City. I'm like, you're right in the city, but you're so scared of living.
And she's terrified to be in New York City. Yeah, they didn't like specify if it was a job, which they should have. Like she's there for a job or whatever.
Give me some kind of good reason why this paranoid lady, which I'm sorry, if anyone knows New York, you have to be a certain type of person to live in New York City. And she was not that kind of person.
No. They could have given us a little bit of like why she's there. And they could have given us more about why the dad wasn't. And what I was getting at is when she asked, like, are you flipping again? In my head, I'm like, flipping houses? No, this has got to be slang for, I'm like, she's not talking about candy flipping, right? Which is like when you take, I think, LSD and Molly or ecstasy. A hallucinogen and one of those club drugs, it's candy flipping. Not that I have any experience. I just know.
I was saying, you're a little bit too knowledgeable about this.
There are many things that I know, I have vast knowledge, and that's one of them. But that's not what she meant. She did mean flipping houses.
Which, I mean, as, I want to say naive as she seemed, especially when her son is so sheltered, again, living in New York, being sheltered. I mean, the only thing I could assume they meant was houses, because they were not really smart people.
It's a weird thing. And they try to explain it with her, or the dad saying, your mom doesn't like it, she thinks it's gambling. Which is like, okay, but I don't know, that's just weird that she It's like, you're not doing, like, how bad was it? Like, you could have given me more information. Like, she could have been like, you're not flipping again. And he's like, no, 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 of course not. No. And she's like, are you sure? Because the last time you couldn't pay off that loan, like, you went into debt. We lost our house. That's why I'm living in,
Yes,
in Manhattan.
But then again, no, I'm sorry. If you lost all your money, how do you afford to live in New York?
Well, maybe the company's apartment, or,
Where that you're keeping your kid away from other kids, so he doesn't really.
Yeah, well, she's terrified of him getting stabbed.
Which I'm like, so did we go into the part of, was he homeschooled? I mean, how was this kid like this?
I'm guessing he was homeschooled. She seems like she was not sending him to public school, maybe private school, but
he seemed like the type that he was probably being locked in his room and not allowed to leave because, oh my God, somebody might hurt you if you walk out that door.
No, he was 12 years old, and this is kind of the setup to the movie. He's 12 years old. His name is Finn. He's on the precipice of being a man. He's gonna be 13 soon. I guess the mom bought him a computer. He looks at something he shouldn't. And they keep this as like a mystery throughout the film, what he looked at.
Yes, it's like, oh my God, what did this 12-year-old look at on the internet that his mom seems to be sending him away with his dad?
With his deadbeat dad.
But he can't have his phone because, oh my God, you might look at it again.
Yeah, he has to leave his phone in New York, and he's going to go with his dad to Vermont to fix up this house that the dad says he's bought to live in.
Well, no, he didn't tell the mom that he bought the house. He said he was working for somebody.
For someone, yes, that's right. He did. He wasn't flipping it, and he didn't buy it. He's
working for somebody.
And he's going to take Finn, his son, with him. And Finn don't want to be there. He's like, I guess he wants to sit back at home and not be allowed to do anything because it doesn't seem like the mom's going to let him fucking do anything.
Well, maybe he thought that, she might not be paying attention again and he'll be able to go look at whatever he was looking at.
Well, like he does say to the dad, he goes, it was like a flimsy lock on a door. I think that's the analogy he uses.
Yes. And it was one of those, see now, if it was you and there was a flimsy lock on the door, wouldn't you want to go see what's on the other side?
Yeah, it's a weird thing to be so angry about. Maybe because, I don't know, I was exposed to whatever growing up. I was allowed to watch anything. It was like, I would think the best thing to do is not hide the world from your children. Let them experience things and be there to answer their questions and talk to them about what they see. Now, the dad does try to talk to him a few times.
Yeah, well, I'm just like, to have a child be that sheltered, how is he going to be able to grow up and go out into the world on his own?
Well, the problem with all that is it actually does not factor into the story at all. Him being sheltered has nothing to do with it. He's, most of the movie seems to be about the bond between the father and the son. There's not a lot that happens, though, or that they talk about. So, like we were saying, they get to this house in Vermont. They start fixing it up. He does tell Finn he's flipping the house.
Yes.
And there's some good bits. It's funny. There's some funny bits here and there. There's some cute bits. The kid not understanding flipping a house. It's going to flip over. I'll say flat out, the movie has some really good performances. And I think it's worth watching for that. I think everybody does a pretty good job with what they're given.
And some of the parts, it was just pretty to look at. Like, I mean, when the one part when it's raining and you just see, like, the rain on the window, it was shot beautifully.
They're definitely trying to make a more artistic piece because that's the thing. There is no tension. It is not eerie. It is not, there's no scares in the movie.
That's the part I was very disappointed for when I'm going, we're watching Shudder, which has horror movies.
And their first American language horror movie, and America is what matters. Damn it.
Not really, I mean, I guess this would be loosely considered a horror movie, or it doesn't fit into any other genre, because...
Well, it's a supernatural thriller, I guess.
I guess because you throw the word ghost in there?
Well, there is a witch, a ghostly witch.
Or witch, whatever.
They they try to get the scares from these what would normally be, I guess,
Jump
more
scares.
eerie. Well, eerie elements. They do try a few jump scares.
They're actually kind of funny. I mean, it's one of those. Okay, if you're a true horror fan, you're going to laugh at their tries at jump scares.
The jump scares, they would have worked if they ran them too long. Yeah, because they were trying to get the message across of stay, and this is what it is.
I know, but that wasn't the first jump scare.
Oh, what was the
first
the
jump
bird?
scare? No, it's when the electrician was
Oh
walked
yeah,
into their house.
Yeah, the electrician. Oh, I was about to talk about him as a character because I actually liked him a lot.
But no, that was the first jump scare.
Yes, that's right. Where they go down into the basement and he's there, and he's all like, you told me you left the door open.
I mean, I guess yes, anyone's gonna jump that some random person is in your house.
Yeah, especially in your basement, this old.
The thing is, I mean, they start hearing noises, so then you as the audience is supposed to think it's a ghost.
Well, I think we're supposed to think that from the beginning, right? With the title, "The Witch in the Window." I assumed it was a ghost story.
You're talking. Yeah, that would be my assumption.
She was not very
scary.
She looked very modern in her dress.
She looked very much like an old lady.
A Karen.
Definitely a Karen.
Karen. She's the.
Especially her. Stay.
Yeah, she's like the Karen in the window.
But no, she was the Lydia in the window.
Lydia was her name, yes. Which I don't. There's little things like they try. Like, I don't like saying her name. I don't want to say her name. But there's nothing. Saying her name doesn't give her power.
I don't know. Maybe that's what made him start sleepwalking again.
Was saying the name.
I wonder, because he just.
I thought it. Okay, so we are really bad at describing what happens.
Which is good if you would actually watch the movie, because we're not telling you step by step. You just know certain parts are going to happen.
We're just like, here are all the pieces to a jigsaw puzzle. Mostly, you figure it the fuck out on your own.
I would actually say watch this movie, because, I watched it twice.
Oh, no, I think it's worth a watch. I mean, it's not going into a yearly rotation. I'm not going to go back and watch this again. I don't feel the need to show it to anyone that I like. But if you're looking for something to kill some time in the background.
And honestly, if you want to introduce your kids into horror, as long as they're not afraid of ghosts or have what. This actually is not a bad introductory into horror.
No, you're right. It's not. I would say it'd probably be on. It would get rated PG-13 maybe if released that way. It's probably not rated. I don't see them going through the MPA.
I don't see them doing that. But no, this is definitely a.
No, it is.
If we had little kids, I'd say okay, this is definitely a good introductory.
And I think Finn's a pretty good character. They handle him well.
Oh, Finn's a great character.
The characters, for the most part, they're written well enough. They're not deep. That's the problem with that. But the people they have acting are pretty good. And that's even I like towards the end. There's this little bit where it's so obvious, what's happening. You just go, okay, that's the witch. Yeah, it's not Finn. It's the witch in the window.
Yeah, her impersonating him.
I like that he's kind of acting bad in that scene.
Well, first when he just appears out of nowhere, out of thin air, and you're just going, so this kid just showed up.
But what I mean is, Charlie Tacker, I think is the actor's name. I could be wrong. That played Finn. No, but he in those scenes, it almost seems like he's acting. It's like, oh my God, your performance is not good in these scenes. And I feel like that was a conscious choice by someone to show that this isn't a kid. This is Lydia / Karen pretending to be the kid.
Because, he was definitely acting abnormal and acting out. And then, I mean, I just love the dad just going along with it. I'm like, so I'm sorry, you really don't know your son if you just saw out of nowhere he was acting completely different.
I think he didn't care that he just wants the family, and that's what we learn as the movie goes on. He did buy the house. He's not flipping it. He's not fixing it up for anyone. He wants it to try to lure the mother back. Bev.
There are some really heartwarming scenes.
Yeah, I mean, well, towards the end, there's definitely some sweet scenes with them coming to the house, and
Well, even just to him bonding with his son. I mean, there
Oh, yeah.
are some very
no,
sweet scenes that you really are staring at this going, your horror movie? I mean, most horror movies do not have these heartwarming, oh my god, this is turning into such a good father-son
if
relationship.
if they had balanced that with some real scares and some real atmospheric and eerie scenes, it'd be creepy because that's what you want to do that with a good horror, right? You want to balance your scares a lot of times with laughs. That's what a lot of movies do. You know, we get some humor, some comic relief characters, things to make us feel comfortable so we feel more uncomfortable when the horror starts, when the scary stuff starts. This didn't have scary stuff. You are right. It did have some heartwarming stuff. It's sweet. I like watching them bond. The dad putting out all the toys in the room, though. You know, those are clearly the toys of the director.
Oh, that was clearly toys of an older generation person. Because, I mean, we were looking at those toys going, well, I remember them back in the day.
Like, I had that. I'm like, there was a Colossus from X-Men, from the X-Men animated series. I'm like, yeah.
So even a kid in 2018 would not have had these
No,
toys.
not those toys, but a very random collection.
Which makes me wonder, I'm like, so did they have to pay anyone the rights of having toys?
No, that's probably why they don't give you a really good look at them.
I mean, a good enough look that you were able to point out a couple of them and say, hey, I had that toy.
Because I wish I had those. I want those toys. They'd be on a shelf in here. But that's the thing, like the toys, they really play a part. That's one thing that really bugged me. The phone thing never came up in a big way. Like, not just that he had to leave his phone in New York, but that you couldn't see her on the phone. Look, I thought they were going to use that again towards the end.
Okay, that phone thing bugged me like crazy. First, how it was supposed to be left in New York. And then Finn had to leave his phone in New York. And then he suddenly had a phone in his hand to show that Lydia was there. And then later in the movie, when his mom is saying he had pictures of the house on his phone. So
I assume.
Dad.
I
But
thought,
then again, I don't know.
think-
The whole thing was confusing.
I figured it was that he took the dad's phone and they just texted photos to him. You know. Now, there's things like what we go back at, which God, we are so jumbled. This is why it's the matinee of madness, because it's all over the place. So when I go back and I'm going to talk about the electrician or the neighbor, what was his name? Was he Lewis?
I don't know. He was the very weird neighbor who seemed to always be drunk.
Well, I mean, a witch has been making you sleepwalk for I don't know how many years. I don't forget if he says.
I mean, I know that he's known about it his whole life because his mom used to be scared of the witch. Which, I mean, I fully understood that scene, having children, about, how his mom was scared for him.
Passing that fear,
and
yeah.
yes, they passed that fear generation to generation.
I thought he said he saw her when she died, too. Like,
yes, he
up in the
saw
window.
her sitting in the window, which it took a few times seeing her sitting there before I was like, wait, is she not alive? And then someone went in there to go check to
realizing
find.
she was trapped in there.
Which, why is the chair still there? If some lady died in a chair, wouldn't that chair not be in said house anymore?
Maybe it was a ghost chair. Just couldn't get rid of it. Like, you kind of, there's cursed furniture is a thing. I mean, haunted furniture. There's a death chair somewhere is it in England or something? It's in a pub. It's blocked off. the story of it is something to do with a lot of these young men that sat in this chair died within a year or so, but a lot of them were also going off to war in the First World War. So, cursed
Yeah.
death chair, I don't know.
Or same difference.
Yeah, the chair, World War One was actually started by a chair's curse. That's a
Obviously.
little known fact, and you're going to get this kind of history here. But a cursed chair began the First World War. And
Are you
so,
starting your own conspiracy theory here?
no, that's true, and that's what happened in this movie. A cursed chair is what kept the. Maybe if they got rid of the chair, she would have gone. But no, she would have been gone if he just smashed up the house. This is what I wanted to say about the electrician. We learned from him that fixing the power made it work, like made it go away, or made it worse.
Yeah, it made her stronger.
So that if he destroyed the house at the end, wouldn't she not have power? Like, he didn't have to.
He was obsessed with the house.
Excuse me. No, he was obsessed with the idea of getting the wife back. And, like, okay, so the witch comes out.
See,
and,
I don't know about that because there was a certain point where he's like, he has to have the house because he's put all of his money into it, and it's either the house or nothing.
And I think this is something they could have, in the beginning, expressed more. With when she asked, "Are you flipping again?" With the whole, like, you know what happened last time. Like, you almost went broke. And then show us more, like, no, I need this to work out or I have nothing. Like, I'm nobody. They didn't do enough of that. There wasn't enough with the character development.
No.
And look, 77 minutes isn't a lot of time, but you didn't use a lot of that time for anything. And my thing at the end, they have a couple natural stopping points in the film, and it keeps going. It's like it keeps going. Like, they show it, like, you could have ended it with him finding the note. It's a beautiful ending. Hey,
Yeah.
kid,
Very heartwarming.
it's a good house again. I'm always here. Love that. That's a nice ending. You could have ended it.
Yep.
Well, then we see the ghost in New York City. We see the witch in New York City. And, like, okay. You
So
could
all I'm getting is
end
either
it there.
A, she's alive again, or haunting New York.
I guess. I don't know, because then it's kind of implied that it's Finn's dream.
I honestly, yeah, I don't know
But
about the end.
they could have ended it there. The next movie could have been like Witch in the Window 2, Witch in the Big City. But no, then it goes again. And it does finally end with him and the mom, Bev, feeling good and comfortable. And they're...
It's like a happy ending.
Yeah, there's a happy ending. A happy-ish ending, I guess. It's supposed to be. Because, again, spoilers... Simon is dead. The dad is...
Well, he's now haunting the house. So the family is all together again.
And I guess the implication, though, is, like, did the witch trade places with somebody? And that's why she was trapped there?
Well, no, because remember her family died there, which they thought that she killed them.
Yeah, which they don't tell us if she did or not. We don't
Yeah,
actually
we
know.
have absolutely no idea because...
And that kind of did bug me because it felt
I wanted more backstory of the witch.
it felt like they were kind of implying a Samara type thing in The Ring. Like The Ring. The Ring has this great scene where, what is it, Naomi Watts, and she's talking to the kid, and she's like, "Don't worry, like we helped her. She's free now. Like, we got her out of the well." And he's like, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "No,
Yeah,
no, you weren't
no.
supposed to do that." Like, I think that's kind of what it felt like they were trying to imply here. Like, oh, now she's out in the world and she's going to cause problems.
Yeah, which then you would assumed, hey, maybe there would be like a part 2. The witch in New York.
But maybe it was supposed to be a happy ending, and they like maybe we're supposed to be like, well, good for the ghost. She's living her best life,
Good for the ghost. Good for the
him.
absentee dad who I guess no longer really wanted to be a dad and was just like, hey, I'll do that. I'll just die in the house so we can be together.
Well, he's not absentee anymore. He can't run. He's in the house.
But what about when the kid wants to, I don't know, eventually grow up and leave?
Well, fuck that kid. Stay.
Want to visit his dad? I don't understand.
Stay. That's the message
that
of
is
the
going
movie.
to be it. Like he's gonna want to go off to college, and his dad's gonna be, no, stay.
Yeah. Maybe the house twists your mind over time, and you become more evil.
And they're just all gonna die there.
This is one of those movies that the more you talk about it, the more it all falls apart on you. You're like, this is fine.
Well, I mean, okay, there was a couple of scenes that I was like, all right, whoever wrote this should have done more research.
Oh, like the you did not like the disclosure. You got
oh no, like when they first came to the house, Finn and his dad. Finn asked his dad if anybody was killed there.
Yeah, if anyone got murdered or chopped up, I think he has.
Oh yeah, if anyone was chopped up. And his dad goes, oh, no, because it would have had to be disclosed. So then, of course, me of all people, I had to check. Vermont does not have it that you have to disclose it.
Yeah, because that's something that's state by state, depending on, I think, the incident or the crime.
But some states have it that if you ask the realtor, they have to tell you.
Exactly, but they don't have to tell you.
If you're buying a house, look it up. Yeah. Think to ask your realtor, hey, did anyone die in this house? Did anyone get killed in this house? Because some states, they do not have to disclose it.
Yeah, and some states only have to disclose it if you ask.
Yeah.
They don't have to flat out say, hey, somebody was murdered here. But we're told no one was chopped up. Now, you could make the argument that Simon is just trying to placate the child, did not scare him. But no, I don't think they looked it up. I think they're just, And
I'm sure most people don't, but that is the little things. I mean, I've looked it up before anyway, but I just wanted to know if that was one of the states.
I think for most people, that feels like a common thing. Like, you're like, oh, everyone would tell you.
No.
Or every state should tell you. But no, it's like,
weird knowledge to know if you're ever in the market of buying a house.
Look, I mean, hey, you might be the kind of person who doesn't want to live where someone was murdered. Or you might be like us and want to live in a haunted house.
Yeah, which is why I know next time we buy a house,
you
ask people.
Well, there's important things you need to know, like about what appliances it comes with, when the roof was last replaced, how many people were murdered in here. These are the questions that matter.
Yes, be like, so do people talk about ghosts? And if there is, what type of ghost are they?
Well, that's when you start going around the town inquiring about that house.
Because, that is my questions, is what kind of ghost? Is it like the poltergeist? Is it like a friendly ghost that you just kind of see? Or, I don't know, are they going to try to take over my body? I need to know.
Okay. Let them have it. Let them have the body. What are you going to do? What are you going to go to work, ghost? Go. Go. Like, you want to be, like, here's the thing. In Poltergeist, like in the Poltergeist, like when they envy the living or whatever. If you're dead, if you're a ghost and you can hear this and you're listening on whatever podcast, like the ghost that's listening over someone's shoulder, you don't want to fucking be alive.
Oh my God, please take my body and go to work for me.
The last few years of existence on this planet, being a ghost is where it's at. You don't want to come back. It's a mess. What you do?
I mean, you would take over a living person and then you would feel like you were dead anyway. Because every day is pretty much the same. Wake up, go to work, deal with all that bullshit there.
Wait for the next problem from the world at large. Who hates who today? You know, it's a mess out there. We don't have to get political and talk about...
No, this has nothing to do with politics.
Don't have to throw a shot at the president and how these... whatever.
We're like, no, this is not political at all. It's just God, that whole boring life the ghost be going.
It's not just.
This is what people do nowadays.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the mess that is the world at large.
Or God forbid they take over a child's body and then have to worry about school shootings.
let's think of school shootings, but you got inflation through the roof. Everybody hates everybody. There's war somewhere in the world,
All the
and
time.
nobody can agree on what side's the back.
Or technically, I'm sorry, America is always at war
And you're a ghost.
with each other. I mean, we're not at war with other
Well,
countries,
that's right now.
but we are
And
at war with each other.
You're a ghost, and you want to come back this year, 2024, an election year. Have at it. Take my body.
Oh my God, please.
Enjoy it.
Please. Have a good time.
You can deal with the world at large, and you can watch the rest of these Shudder originals, because there's, like I said, there is a lot. There's a good amount of them. Again, some are foreign, and eventually you're gonna have to read. And I know.
I already told you, there's ones I'm probably going to have to watch twice. Because the first time I watch something with subtitles, I'm always so busy reading the subtitles, I miss what's going on the screen.
No, I get that. Because film is a visual medium, and it tells its story through motion pictures. But you have to be able to understand dialogue and what's being said and characters. If you're reading it, it's kind of hard to take in the whole of what's happening on the screen. So I do get that, and it's going to be tough because there might be times where we're going to come across ones where you don't even want to watch it once. But hopefully, a lot of them, hopefully the worst of the Shudder originals are like this, The Witch in the Window, which, again, I think
It's not bad. I mean, it's worth a watch.
It's worth a watch. It's worth that single view. That's my rating for it. I'd give you my rating. Watch it once. And here's another spoiler for everyone out there, because in full disclosure, there are Shudder originals that we've already seen, and we'll be talking about them again, and they get bad. There's some really bad ones there.
Yeah, there's some that I'm really dreading rewatching, and there's some that I really don't mind rewatching.
Well, there's a few I'm excited to go back to, and maybe we'll pick a favorite of mine for the next time we do this, and come back to it.
Hopefully it's favorite of yours I don't mind, and not a favorite of yours, and I'm going to stare at you going, why are we watching this?
Yeah, well, I mean, it might be more fun.
Because we do not always agree on... Actually, most of the
movies
time we do not agree on movies.
No, most movies we do not agree on. Well, that's typically because you'll take blood and guts over anything else, which you were probably really disappointed with this, Witch in the Window, because this is a bloodless flick. And gorgeous. Like, when you said this would be a good introductory movie for kids, you're not wrong. I don't even think there's really a lot of profanity, if at all.
I mean, at one point he tells his dad to shut up, and it acts like it's such a horrible thing he just said. So, no, I really don't think there's any profanity.
No, it is. This is a good introduction. That'd be a list to put together at some point. Horror movies to show to your kids, to introduce them. 'Cause a lot of people are always going to think of things like The Monster Squad. It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's kind of like that. That to me is always like the horror Goonies. It's like the punk rock Goonies. But I've never seen Goonies, so.
Goonies is so good. Everyone yell at him for that. How dare you not watch Goonies?
That would be a double feature. We could do Goonies and Monster Squad and just eventually.
I have no idea what Monster Squad is.
You've never seen Monster? Oh, see, you're missing out. See, everyone yell at her for that. How do you not? Like, the Monster Squad's great. So yeah, that'd be interesting. But that's usually, I think, when people are thinking of, like, oh, I'm going to introduce my kid to horror, something like that. Maybe some people will show them things like Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know. That's a Christmas movie, not one I like. Not going to get into it. Not get into it.
Oh my God, no.
Shouldn't even have brought it up, because we don't need to get into it. It's not good. We're talking about Shudder. Shudder doesn't have.
Thankfully, Shudder does not have that movie.
No, Shudder does have, I think, a stop motion in Mad God, right? Was that what it was?
I would take that over A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, I think that's a Shudder original, so we'll be getting to that, and that'll be a fun one to revisit. That'll be one of the revisits. I don't know if you have anything else to say about Witch in the Window.
No, I think we pretty much covered this.
We just kind of rambled and ranted through this movie.
Again, I mean, it's not a bad movie. I would not consider it really a horror movie.
No,
But
I think it has a 69 rating on Rotten
God,
Tomatoes.
that's such a man thing. Okay.
That's an everybody thing. It's like nobody knows
He's
why.
pretending he's a teenage boy.
Nobody knows why. It's just the funniest number. Like everyone laughs. It's a mystery.
Ha ha ha.
Bloody Disgusting. Their reviews probably a lot more favorable than ours because they actually felt it was atmospheric and creepy. I didn't
Creepy?
get that. Yeah, I don't see that. I don't even see the atmosphere in the movie.
Again, I mean, it's
Okay, no, I'm
a
sorry.
great starter.
Sorry, the quote from Bloody Disgusting was atmospheric, unsettling, and creepy as hell.
Who writes these things?
We're not getting paid to do this. They might be. You know, in fairness, Bloody Disgusting does produce horror movies. One of my favorite franchises, VHS, which recently exclusively released on Shudder. So, I mean, maybe a little payola? Is that what they
Maybe,
call
'cause-
it? I don't know.
How?
And again, good movie. Worth a watch. Definitely worth showing it to a kid. To go, hey, this is kind of that supernatural horror, haunted house thing.
Well, I guess if you're normal parents and not like us who just went right
If you're
into
gonna-
it.
If you're going to get your kid into horror and you're not ready to have the conversations that Bev and Simon didn't want to have with Finn, because we didn't talk about this, the whole, like, what he saw on the internet and why he had to go to Vermont. You know, the whole thing he saw, we think, obviously we think porn. He's a 12-year-old boy. He's watching some
It would have
dirty,
been more interesting if it was porn.
some bukkake videos, you know.
So that's when his dad goes, I could explain to you anything you didn't understand.
Yeah, which
Which
like,
made him sound even more of an interesting character. I was like, oh, really? Could you explain it to me?
Dad, why were 3 guys pissing in her asshole? He watched the beheading video, which, you know, there was a time I remember they were floating around the internet.
But he made it sound like he saw it on the news.
That's what he said, like on the news. Which
But I'm like, the news doesn't usually have beheading videos.
maybe we don't have a television at the matinee Mantis with cable or an
Mantis?
antenna at Mantis. I did say Mantis. That's what I thought. Yes,
Madness.
Mantis. We're gonna go with that. Nobody can see that we are mantises, like 8-foot mantis people.
That makes life more interesting.
That's why going to work sucks so much. It's just like, you know, the discrimination a giant mantis gets. No, I don't know what's going on in the news, but that's what the kid saw. That's why his mom says no phone. You got to go with your dad to Vermont.
Yeah, let's not have a discussion with the kid.
About and the dad never really does either. The dad gets really mad about it.
No, I think that's when they go into the whole thing about how parents lie.
Well, at first he's like, is that why he says they lie? Because I know he starts cursing. He's, oh, God damn it.
Oh, I guess that might be the actual cursing in there.
Yeah,
Word
and
damn.
like he's throwing things, and then he says like, he's like, oh, there's some people are sick or bad or whatever. It's
I
really
don't know how we want to cushion our kids and make them feel like the world is so safe and nothing's ever going to happen to you.
Yeah, they try with that message stuff and to keep, but because nothing gets explored further than just these brief exchanges of dialogue.
Yeah.
But they do, so it's not deep, but it does lead to some of those sweet moments you were talking about, like the parents lie. No, okay, sorry. I like how we lie. We lie here because we go, oh, there's no cursing. But no, there is that whole no bullshit thing.
Which, I'm sorry, I don't even think bullshit is cursing, but...
But that is the whole thing. No more bullshit. The dad and son are going to be honest with each other. So there are...
Personally, I think you should have full honesty with
Oh,
your
yeah.
children anyway,
You should.
and not coddle them.
It's not easy. It's not easy to be honest with your kids all the time.
It
But
just makes you have a way better relationship with your children.
yeah. Or at least, maybe we can set up some kind of app where parents can swap kids. And you can be honest with someone else's kid.
I think I would actually really enjoy that.
Yeah.
I think I might scar some kids, though.
Yeah, I can't see that being problematic at all.
Oh my God, those poor, poor scarred kids.
So, what would be your final rating, I guess, for this movie that Andy Milton, I believe, wrote, directed, edited, did the music for?
So he did it all, huh?
He did pretty much everything. I don't think he was in it.
Music. Does that mean every time that the caption said tense?
Well, that's how you knew
music?
the movie was tense. That was the tension.
Because that is the one thing about having captions on, I do have to say, is when you read it and it makes it seem like something's supposed to be going on that I don't see going on.
That's actually a steadfast rule of storytelling is always tell, don't show. So just tell everyone it's tense. They'll know it's tense. This is tense music, damn it.
I always find that so off-putting when I see it's telling me that the music's supposed to be ice tense or brooding. I don't think it
Brooding.
is that.
Brooding,
But
I think
it's
is the
one
word.
of those.
Brooding, yeah. That's what.
It always makes it sound like way more is going on in a scene than what's actually going on.
Yeah, no, it's. But again, final rating for you. You have a. Do you have a system you want to use? A star system? A skull system?
I have absolutely no. I think it's worth at least a watch.
That's my official rating of it. You watch it once, and maybe show it to your kids.
Personally, as a parent, if you're a normal parent, I would watch it before I showed it to my kids anyway.
Just make sure it's up to your standards for your child.
Because obviously, I'm not trying to parent for everybody.
But that's the point of the app we're talking about. It is so you can parent. So we are parenting for everyone. So show it to your damn kids.
Well, I'm sorry. If I'm going to be the one telling you that, I'm going to tell your kids to start off with something actually scary. But this is a good introductory thing if you want to test the feels and see if the kid has like nightmares.
And it's also put together well enough as a film. So it's not garbage, really.
I do have to say, if you showed it to your kids, I think at least it could bring up conversations to have with your children.
Yeah, I did talk about things like internet restriction and why it's there.
Yeah, or, yes, there are times that your parents do things that you might not understand, but it's because we love you.
Or your kid might get into flipping houses, and that could be great in the future. That could be, financially, that could be good. Hey, you show this to your 10-year-old, he gets into, or she, or they, or whatever, gets into flipping houses. That's definitely a TV show, right? A little kid flipping houses, somebody pick that up.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Home and Garden Network or something.
I don't see it being a Shudder original, but...
I don't know, maybe
maybe if it has ghosts in it, it might be.
Now that flipping haunted houses, okay, so as this is it, we're going to sign off. This is the first and the last episode because we're going to start flipping haunted houses. And what we're going to do is if the house isn't haunted, we're going to make sure it's haunted. It'll be that's part of the flipping process. We've got to hauntify these houses, right?
Sounds amazing.
So that's it then. We're going to just go. I'm not going to sign off. There's no reason to. We're not coming back. We're done.
Or possibly be back.
Turn off the lights.
Turn off the lights. You don't have to go home. Oh, yeah, you don't have to go home, but you have to leave here.
But you stay right where you are at. You know what? You just can't hear us anymore. We're done. Goodbye.
Bye.